Welcome to Catfish Weekly. Along with James Smith, I'm Lyle Stokes. James, we got a bunch of stuff to go over tonight. We got a great guest, but first off, I would like to talk about Kevin's award show that he had the other night, the Golden Whiskers. That was one of the best run shows of that kind that I have ever seen or been a part of. It was an honor to be nominated for a few awards. To actually win one was absolutely fabulous. But the work, the time, the effort that he put into making that a great show is above and beyond, I think, what anybody ever thought how it would come out, because it was run flawlessly and professionally, and I was extremely proud to be a part of it.
Yeah, it did turn out real well. You got to get that first one under your belt, Lyle, and I think you done a good job at the very first show, and I know it'll grow on from here. There might be more categories added, might be some taken away. You don't never know, but you got to get the first one under your belt.
That's
and
exactly
I think
right.
This first one went off real well. Congratulations to you there, Palmetto. I don't think he's in here quite yet.
Well, you know, if people would think about just the amount of time that he took taking excerpts out of videos and stuff and putting them together on each individual's thing, there was a wealth of time spent just on that.
Oh, God.
Because you got to pull it out, you got to download it into a program that edit the parts out that you want.
Yes.
And he used several different ones for everybody. So it was a lot of time. He done a bang up job. Proud to be a part of it. There was a lot of people that deserved the awards they got. There was a lot of people that was nominated for awards that, say there was 3 or 5 or how many ever there was, it was nominated. It could have been any one of them. They all deserve those positions. So that was a tough deal. But you know what? It was voted on by the viewers and the people that watch all of us do this. And I think that it was pretty spot on how everybody, how people won stuff and how the awards was done. But Kevin he really did. He done a bang up job.
I had somebody ask me, call me earlier, I don't mention names, asked me, said, James, he said, do you think that it might have should have been run as a YouTube catfishing award show? Mainly because it was YouTubers that done the voting. And I said, well, I don't know. I said, I didn't have a part in none of it. I said, Lyle had some help in it and a few other people did. I said, in a way you're right, because it was the YouTubers that done the voting and most of the categories. In fact, all of the categories, except I think Doc Lane don't really put nothing up on YouTube no more, does he?
No, but that's okay. Doc's been involved with it over the years, and I see that Kevin now is in the chat. And Kevin, we're talking about how well you done the awards show the other night, and it was a pleasure and an honor to be a part of it. And I think that everybody should know how well run it was. And James, I look for next year to be a lot bigger, a lot better, and I look for the competition rate of the people that gets nominated for these to be astronomically larger than what it was, because he had a ton of people watching this show, and I think a lot of them didn't realize what it was, and they're going to know next year, and the creators and the people that's involved really going to have to watch it, because there's a lot of great young new channels out there, and they're going to be gunning for some awards now.
Hey, and I tell you what, I think next year Kevin might have to hire a few hands to help with next year's. There's going to be a lot of videos being thrown up, and that was really loud. That was a ton of stuff to do by himself.
He done a bunch of stuff by himself. He done a bang up job, and like I say, the show come off nearly flawlessly, or as far as I was concerned, it was flawlessly. And I was very proud to be a part of it and to be nominated for them a few awards. You and I felt we was very fortunate, and to actually win one was excellent. And I'm very proud to be a part of what he put together.
Yes, sir. We got a lot of people in chat tonight, but guys, we got a great kayak fisherman right here, Mr. Jesse the Warden O'Neill.
How y'all doing?
Doing good, Jesse. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Feels great to be here.
That's awesome, man. We're glad to have you. We have a few kayak people that watch the show and have been on the show with us before. But I think that the way we're going to do this is going to be a different situation. James come up with the thought, and he visited with me about it, is to have you come on and basically do a seminar style show. And I think that's a great idea. And James, if you got anything, there's only one thing I want to talk about before you go over. Our good buddy Sonny Parker is still not doing too good with his wrist. If you guys would keep Sonny in your thoughts and prayers, he's fighting it hard, and we want to make sure Sonny gets healed up as quick as we can. Other than that, James, have you got anything for Jesse?
Well, just keep everybody their families and stuff. This is the Christmas holiday seasons, and we do have a lot of lonely people out there.
We do.
Keep your hearts open, keep your minds open, and this is the time, the season for giving. And if you see somebody hungry, make sure you feed them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mr. Jesse, I appreciate you coming in, and guys and gals that's in here, I know a few of you actually boat fish, you bank fish, and some of you do kayak fishing also. I think Mr. Jesse here is going to set us up and give us a little seminar talk on stuff, and then afterwards we're going to take some questions and stuff. Might be some things that you want to learn, but I think we're going to try to combine the two worlds together, or the three worlds really, because you do some lake fishing also, not just river fishing, right?
Yeah, I branch out. You know, that's part of the tournament trails and stuff that I fish out of a kayak. You know, you're not limited to rivers. You know, we cover a lot of different lakes throughout the nation, and I've been on some big water myself. Especially here in the Carolinas, I've spent a lot of time on Wiley, Watery, Monticello, down in Santee. I like to whap a gator every once in a while with a catfish rod out of a kayak. It's a little bit more nerve wracking that you get chased by a gator in a kayak, but
yeah.
I definitely I don't limit myself to just rivers with the kayak. It's the setups and the platforms and the kayaks that are out there now, they've become so big, and everything has just changed in style, and from where it started, it's just amazing at how many companies out there run bigger kayaks. I see guys running sonar, 12-inch sonar units on their kayak with live stream and all that, and
that's crazy.
Trolling motors, and new canoes are set up to take a 2.2 a Honda motor. It's just crazy to see what's out there. I'm still kind of behind I guess you could call a stone age. I paddle. The kayak setup I run, you can paddle or use it as a pedal drive.
Right.
The pedal drive's just like pedaling a bicycle. I mean, you basically lean back in the seat and you just go to town. And I mean, I can get pretty good speed on the water. I mean, I've Flint Hill seen it the other day. I went out with him, and he was running electric motor, and I was a good bit in front of him going upriver. And testing on that pedal drive. Now my legs hurt after that.
Oh yeah.
Never skip leg day, y'all. That's
what people say. Feel the burn.
Oh yeah, you might want to stop a little bit about halfway up, but they glide so smooth, and like I said, just how they've changed over the years. There's 14 footers out there. I fish out of a 13-foot native Slayer. I run 4 rod holders. I run 2 on the front with the extensions. I fish for Stealth Rod Holders out of Georgia. That's a company I fish for. I run 2 of their rod holders on the front, 2 on the back. I designed my own anchor trolley on my kayak to where I can anchor up in current or on flat water. It don't matter.
Okay, well, let's go ahead and let's get this rolling. And like you said, you're taking them through your kayak. I want right now. You talking about that trolley? Please let them know what you told me when we talked on the phone about that, the breakaway and stuff.
Yeah, with the anchor trolley system, one of the scariest things you can run into on a kayak, man, is throwing that anchor out in current. A lot of guys will avoid current just because of the simple fact you're in a small boat, a little bit of downward pressure, it's going to capsize you quick. It's a lot different than being in, a John boat or a V-Haul or something like that. With the breakaway system I run, I was actually able to make my anchor trolley with a hook and a hoop that I got on Austin Kayak for like $4, and it's just soft plastic when it clips together. And there's enough downward pressure on it, and I get whipped real hard in the current, it'll actually pop away and give me a little bit of cushion away from the anchor. And I run all my anchors on a river breakaway system anyway, with a zip tie and tied at the bottom because I run grapple hook anchors. But with that breakaway on that trolley system, it actually allows the current, if the current does catch you and pulls you hard, that clip will pop off the hoop, and it has about a 5-foot section of paracord that it pulls, and you can actually grab a hold of and slow yourself down and straighten out your boat to where you're not getting pulled, sideways in the current, and you can get your rope untied and throw your anchor away in enough time. What seems like maybe minutes on the water, it's actually a few seconds that you can actually untie and just drop your whole rope if you got to. Right. I run floats. I run about a 8-inch float on my anchor line, and if I get in that situation where I got to dump that anchor, I'm going to dump that anchor and I'll work back up and try to unhook it as much as I can. If it's too bad, hey, $4 worth of anchor rope and a $5 anchor is not worth your life, man. At that point in time, it's one thing I'm big on kayaks is safety, and it's not worth. Sometimes it's just not worth going back after it.
Right. Now it is wintertime and stuff, so so go ahead and I guess you filled out how you're going to run a type of seminar deal. I guess go ahead and go through the basic things like your rods, reels, and what you like, the shorter rods, longer rods, or whatever on that kayak, and lead us into your wintertime, what you prep for wintertime fishing as far as safety. And then I guess after that, tell us how you catching fish in the wintertime. Because I've seen some pigs you put on that freaking kayak in the wintertime. Pigs.
Yeah, we find some hogs, that's for sure. As far as wintertime prep, I wear rubber boots and sealskin socks. The sealskin keep your feet dry even if your boots get wet. As far as rod setup, I fish for Slime Cat rods. I've been a huge believer in their 5, 7, and 6 foot rods. I run that shorter rod because what I run into before running 7-footers and 7.6s is there's a time that you might, we don't net fish. There's very few guys that net fish in a kayak. Most of the time you're either sticking your hand with a glove in its mouth or going bare knuckle in its mouth, or you're grabbing it with fish strips to get it in that kayak. So with the shorter rods, you're actually able to get more control of the end of that leader line without dropping the reel in the water.
Right.
I'm running Slime Cat reels too. I bounced kind of between them and the Abu C3s. Just normal setup that you would run, 30-pound line, 60-pound leader. Depending on what style fishing I'm doing, depends on if I'm running weight or not.
Right.
But like I said, the shorter rods in the kayak, man, they have, they've definitely become a game changer for my team and the guys that I fish with. Just for the simple fact that you're not having to do as much oiling and repairs on reels because you're not dunking them in the water every time you catch a fish. You're actually able to tuck that reel up underneath your arm, grab that fish, and you're right there. I'm not a very big guy. A lot of people's met me in person. I'm like 5'6". I'm not a very big guy at all. So the shorter rod.
I got to see the picture you and Flint Hill. Then I've got to see this picture.
No kidding.
Between Flint Hill and Jeff Anderson, man, I look like a toddler standing next to them boys. They make me look like a little kid, man.
Hey, well,
Yeah.
it's two big old boys, though.
Yeah, you know,
So,
that shoulder rod definitely helps your setup out. And as far as, you know, winter fishing and targeting in blues, you know, winter fishing is always, it's scary no matter what you're in, you know. That cold weather brings on dehydration quicker because your body's got to stay warm. So always carry plenty of a liquid with you, you know, preferably water or Gatorade or something to keep yourself hydrated. You know, we are all cat fishermen, so we all know how that goes. But, you know, definitely keep some water and stuff with you. Stay hydrated out there. Layering is important, especially on a kayak. You don't have somewhere you can really tuck away and hide. You know, you're open to the elements. That's kind of how it is being on a kayak. You're out in the open. You're a little bit more exposed to the wind or the water, all that as it comes across the lake. So, you know, being able to layer up, get yourself a good base layer. That's where it starts with. You know, it's just like anything. I'm running waterproof bibs. I think I got from Academy for like $75. They have been a game changer for me this season in the cold water. They just keep me dry from between the time I'm dropping a 60-pound catfish in my lap or throwing a cast net for bait. You know, they keep my legs dry, and that's a big thing. Your legs and feet get wet, you know, you get cold quick, and that's a rough day on the water.
yeah.
You know, definitely life jacket, man. This is a hit or miss for a lot of kayak guys, and I'm telling you right now, guys, or anybody watching, even from a boat. You know, I fish from boats from time to time, and you know, I wear a life jacket sometimes when we're running, depending on what kind of boat I'm in. But on the kayak, man, wear it all the time. You know, cold water is not forgiving. The river don't have no emotion. If you go in and you can't swim against a current, or if you're on an open lake and you're out drifting in 30 foot of water and you're layered up for the wintertime, that life jacket might be the difference between getting help and getting off the water.
5 minutes in that cold water, you zap.
Yeah, I mean, it hits quick. And I've been in situations, unfortunately, in the past that have made me question, you know, maybe what I'm doing. And, you know, there's not enough time. I usually carry some dry clothes with me, too, in case, you know, the worst does happen. But, you know, life jacket, for sure. You know, you got NRS that makes a kayak vest that the back sits up a little bit higher to where when you're in the seat, it's not binding you up. There's Arsenal. There's a few different brands out there, especially on Amazon being such a big platform now. You can find paddle jackets at fairly fair price. You know, I recommend going with a full zip up style jacket instead of the, you know, self-inflating ones that you fall in, you know.
Right.
Like I said, kayak's different than the big boat.
Right.
You know, and as far as that goes, if it gets that cold out there, guys, one thing about a kayak, man, is you can access the bank so easy. It's so great. I've fished so many bank spots that guys drive by in a big boat. Man, I'd love to get up in there, but it's so rocky. I don't want to beat my fiberglass or aluminum boat up against that. Kayaks are plastic, son. You drive them straight up on that bad boy. Get up on the bank, start you a fire. All them rod holders you got to hold your rods in the back. You throw some lines out. You know, even with the shorter rods I'm able to get about, you know, 50, 60 yards off on a good throw. You know, I run, you know, the higher grade bearing systems in my Abu, so I can launch a bank setup. And I'll carry, sometimes I know I'm going to bank fish. I'll carry some 8.7s with me, or, you know, some bigger rods, and just for that reason.
There you go.
Get up there in the wintertime when the wind's just whipping too bad and you get some 4-foot rollers. Get up on the bank somewhere. Don't think just because you're in a kayak you can't get up on the bank and fish. Right. You know, that's one of the things with the trail series that I'm running. You know, a lot of guys might be fishing an open lake that they're not used to. If you can access a bank with a kayak that's not the boat ramp, I 100% say go ahead. You know, if you're not comfortable in the water, find a spot that you want to fish and get up on there and fish on the bank. You know, you got the best of both worlds. I mean, you wouldn't want to do that in a big boat because that's why you're in a big boat. But, you know, in a kayak, you have a little bit more opportunity.
We're going to
Correct.
take one question right now just to break up the monotony, is that somebody wanted to know what's your biggest fish in the kayak?
Oh man, my biggest fish out of the kayak actually happened in August. It was in 2 foot of water on a river that I was fishing. I was freelining. It was 79.8 pounds. That's my PB out of the kayak.
Son of a gun. That's a freaking monster. I don't give a crap if you're bank, boat, kayak, whatever. That's a good freaking fish.
I was freelining, floating with the current when I hit it. And you know, with the kayak stuff we fish, we go by inches just like the kayak bass guys do. So
Right.
sometimes it's hard to get weight.
Right.
A lot of the time I do that old, you know, weight times girth divided by 800 with the string method to try to get roughly close to the weight that I feel the fish with. And, you know, it's usually pretty accurate depending on the fish. But, you know, we go by inches a lot. So, you know, that's a question I get a lot. And there might be fish out there that I've actually caught that's probably bigger than that. I've just never actually got an official weight on them.
Right. Now, on fish when you hooked up on fish that size, do you usually try to get them to the bank but instead of trying to pull something that size into the kayak with you?
Depends on where I'm at. If I'm in a fast water situation, yeah, I will get it to the side of the boat. I actually have a paracord tether that I put on the fish that just clips to the lip with the hook still in, and I can kind of, you know, move my way out of the current to where I'm doing what's best for the fish and for myself. You know, I don't, you know, my kayak's not easy to tip, but when you got that much weight on one side in a fast moving body of water, you know, it's likely to happen. And, you know, there's been a lot of times I've just kind of slobbed them into the boat, just dropped them into the deck and back paddled backward as fast as I can to get to the bank. When I got the drive system on them in open water, I can actually use the drives to control the fish. So I can pedal as I'm reeling, and every once in a while, and I have a rudder system that turns my kayak and steers, so I can actually pedal to control the speed of what I'm moving to kind of use the boat as basically a giant bobber to slow the fish down and get it up there, control my speed, lean to one side, drop it in the inside, and, you know, do what I need to do with it after that. I run a selfie stick that clamps to a desk on the front of my kayak that I just put my phone in and take my pictures. And then, you know, with the measuring board, you know, the measuring board sits on my gun walls. It's 60 inches long total. And, you know, it sits on the gun walls. You stand above it with the identifier, and you snap a picture to an app, and your fish is scored.
Now, let me say something. If you grab a 60-inch catfish, oh my God.
You'll be the first one to know. I promise you that. I'll message you right. I'll message you right as it's happening.
Oh my God. That would probably, Lyle, wouldn't that be a world record?
It depends on where you're at. Some of them are real long and don't have any girth on them, and others got a lot of girth and ain't quite so long. But if you had one that had the perfect storm of girth and length, it could very possibly be. So
that's what I was thinking. It had to be pretty freaking close.
Yeah,
now, I've seen some guys. There's actually a local guy I've been wanting to fish with. I got to meet him at the meetup I run. He got a 55-pounder or a 55-inch, not 55-inch fish right here on local waters. And I've heard of a couple of 52s and a 54 that's been brought in kayak. Like I said, the kayak setups that we're running, they're no joke. I mean, they're like running a small John boat, just a little bit narrower.
Yeah.
Yeah, and to me, that is probably one of the most stealthy way of fishing they are.
Well, you've already been in the water with one of my favorite guys in the whole world, O'Brien, with Flint Hills. I mean, I'm really not a fan of kayak fishing because I'm too old and fat to get in one. But, man, do I love to watch O'Brien's videos. Man, he's the best. I just think the world of
man.
it.
You know, and the thing is
a blast to go with.
Yeah, and Brian fishes a lot of the same waters we do, you know, and a lot of the success that I've got on my month-long events and stuff are out of the same area as Brian's fishing. So, you know, we know what's there, and, you know, and he gives you definitely a different perspective on the style he fishes, because like if you'd ever see his boat in person, you'd be like, wow.
How's he get in?
You might get in it, man. He runs electric motor. You might just hop down in there. You throw a kayak cushion on your back and on your butt, man. You'll be all right there, boy. You be comfortable all day long.
Him and River Certified are if I'm going to watch, and I like Justin, I really do, but him and River Certified are two of my favorites. I watch all their stuff and enjoy that so much. But Brian, I've seen him a couple times when I really thought he was in kind of a pickle, but he always manages to seem to get out of them. But man, he's fun to watch. He really is.
And I think that's what gets us on the exciting part of river fishing, man. Is like, you kind of gotta break from just flat water. I can go down Santee, and the only excitement I'm going to get is if the wind's going to blow or not from the west or the east. We've all been to Santee. My first national championship, it was like we fished it at Santee. It was both lakes were open for the national championship, and it was literally 30-mile-an-hour gusts all day long. Both days we had to fish, and there was some big fish caught.
That's some rough water.
If you didn't beach it, and you tried to sit out there and ride it out, boy. You got a roller coaster ride out there. I was scoring fish that the whole board was just going airborne and landing back on the deck of the kayak as I'm trying to take pictures in the roller.
Yeah, you get on Moultrie and the daggum wind up. It's that lake will eat you.
Yeah, we launched out of Black, so we was coming out of a Palm Canal into just steady wind.
My old buddy Sonny would like to know how big an anchor you use on your kayak.
That's a question I've been asked a few times. I actually run a 7.5 pound anchor on the main lakes, just because sometimes I fish a little bit deeper water on the main lakes. In the river, I actually keep it pretty light. I usually try to stay between 3 to 5. If I can go lighter, I will. I've actually ran just 3-foot pieces of chain before, just dropping them down to let them catch in between the rocks. The stop man has hold as an anchor in the rocks, because a chain you can shake loose.
Yeah. And
you don't have to really pull on it. You can just kind of get a little bit of slack on it, shake loose, and it'll pop out the rocks pretty easy. But I try to, in the river, in the fast moving water, I try to stay as light as I can. I run a grapple style. I actually tie at the bottom of it, and I run the line up with a small zip tie at the top. Yeah. So that way, if I get hung, I can kind of pop the zip tie and it'll flip it up and let it kind of come backwards up out. And, it usually, about 90% success rate on that. It just depends on what kind of rock you get hung on.
Yeah.
That's true. Lyle, I got to step away just a second. Y'all take care of this.
Not a problem, man. Just do what you got to do. You want to continue on with your seminar stuff?
We can talk about whatever y'all want to talk about. As far as finding catfish in the wintertime, out of a kayak, it's not much different than, the same kind of strategy you would run if you were going out in a boat. You're gonna find them deeper pockets. We fish river systems that are a little bit shallower than most lakes, so it's kind of, you find that in between, and that's where we try to target that water. If sometimes it's anchoring up above that deep flat and casting right at the opening of it, and that's usually where your bigger fish are. They're not in the deep stretch as much. They're actually sitting right at that current break right before it. So that's usually what I try to target. Is I'll anchor a little bit up above a current break that gets ready to turn into a deep shallow, like a deep long flat. I'll anchor above that, because then fish are sitting there waiting for bait to come by to burn the least amount of energy they can.
So is that your favorite kind of structure that you like to fish then?
I'm a big flathead guy, so my favorite kind of structure, is definitely big sunken trees,
wood,
big rock piles, anything that I know has big holes up under. I don't go by electronics a lot. I'm not an electronic fisherman. I usually try to map how I'm going to fish a body of water faced by the bank and the mapping around the water itself, because that 90% of the time that gives you an idea of what's down there. If you're fishing deep, I like to fish like deep mud banks and stuff, because flatheads will get up in there and they'll punch them mud banks out and they'll just sit up in there. So if there's sunken timber or stuff close to them mud banks, I like to get right up in front of that and, just wait it out. Sometimes it's suspend fishing. Sometimes it's casting up into it with live bait.
Is there any particular time of the year that you would rather fish than other times?
My best fishing is honestly, August is one of my favorite months to fish. It's that I know a lot of guys turn away from it because it's really hot down here.
It is hot.
But the evening fishing, that peak time frame before it gets too dark, you can't see, and the light hasn't burned off, the fish are so active at that time of day, especially on open lakes, because that's when the boat traffic's starting to slow down. They're going to start coming out and feeding around that time. So that's definitely one of my favorite times. Then winter fishing, man. A lot of the time you get a body of water to yourself. If you can find the fish, you're on them all day. I love winter fishing. I've always have. It could be iced over and I'm punching ice off the boat ramp to launch the kayak. I'm gonna get in it. Them fish don't stop eating just because that ice is there.
One thing that I would mention is you said that you like to fish wood, trees, stuff like that. Well, I like to fish that too. But a lot of times I'll catch blues out there as well as flatheads, and a lot of times more blues than flatheads because, man, they're just like they're not exactly like a flathead as far as fishing for them, but they're structure oriented also.
Yeah, they definitely are. And, they're, with the blues, they're a little less active than channels, and a little bit more active than flat. So with blues, you're going to find them on structure, especially in the wintertime. Blues they're going to group up on structure. That's how they make it through the wintertime because that, like I said, it comes back to opportunist feeding. Bait usually navigates to structure. Anybody that crappie fishes or anything like that, that's why you fish structure as a crappie fisherman is because that's where normally the bait's going to stack up. So the fish are going to be there feeding. And catfish are no different. They're opportunist feeders. They might be a little bit deeper than everything else in there, but you knock on one's head long enough in structure, you're gonna pull something up out of there.
Well, yeah, and we as humans are the same way. You stick a cookie in front of me, I'm going to eat it. I'm opportunist like that.
Oh yeah.
Well, we're about halfway through, Lyle. Jesse, tell us a little bit where we can find you on social media and about your Carolina catfish layers.
Yeah,
I probably said that wrong.
No, you're good. You're good. I'll fill the rest in. You can find me and some of my teammates at Team Catnippers. We also have a YouTube channel starting January. We're going to kind of bring it back a little bit. We've kind of been slacked off because of me and Mr. Fail that originally used to run it. Our work schedules are just so crazy this time of year. We've kind of slacked off on YouTube, but I'm gonna bring it back a little bit more in January. So Team Catnippers on that. Team Catnippers on Instagram. It's me and the majority of the other people that fish for my team. And then just Jesse O'Neill on Facebook. There's also a Team Catnippers on Facebook. We've kind of structured all that around Team Catnippers. That's how we spread the love between me and them. And Carolina Kayak Catfish Slayers is a trail series I'm kicking off this year, or for 2021. It's so far I have 6 lakes locked in, and I think that's where we're going to keep it for the first year. We start in March 27th. We kick off our first event. It is all kayak related. I have a list of sponsors. Once I get everything fully in, I'll release, the full list of sponsors and what they're doing for the group. But, it's going to be pretty big. I can tell you right now, I'm pretty excited. I got a phone call a little while ago with Dale's Tackle. So, I'm pretty excited about 2021 Trail Series for the Carolinas. A lot of Carolina businesses are getting involved. A lot of, local bait shops, tackle shops, stuff like that. I brought them in because, I want to support the small businesses and, support the guys here in the Carolinas because this is a Carolina Trail Series.
Right. Well,
hey, we got Gabe DeFore in. I don't remember Gabe, his Creole's son. I don't remember him being in in watching our show before. Gabe, welcome to Catfish Weekly. We're glad to see you in the chat.
Man, I just got a picture. Can you see it? That crazy Carl just put a pig in the boat today. Well,
wow. Carl's been on them here lately. Yeah. He really has.
Well, I'm hoping to get out this weekend after the holidays and maybe find a couple more pigs myself.
Heck yeah!
If you want to do some live film with us, take us along with you.
Actually, believe it or not, I'm getting ready to do a film for Catch Outdoors TV. Catch Boards makes measuring devices for bass fishing, and they're getting ready to release a big game series. And they're gonna come down here and bring their little bit of crew, and we're gonna catch some catfish and put their boards to a test. And my ugly mug is gonna be the one at the front of the helm there on that.
All right, good deal.
Cool.
But yeah, I would definitely like to meet up with some of y'all and do some live lake things, kind of let y'all see what it's like to ride real slow as a kayak tries to pedal across the water, and let you guys get to see the setup firsthand. I've been running meetups. I did one a couple weeks ago, and it was real nice. It turned out really nice. We did it at Buzz Bait and Tackle. It was an opportunity for a lot of local people to kind of come out and see what a kayak catfish setup looks like. I plan on doing another one in April, and just it kind of gives everybody that idea of, you might see pictures, but until you get firsthand beside that boat and see that size of that boat that we're actually dragging these fish into, not only me, but there's so many guys out there that just hammer big catfish out of kayaks. It's unreal. And until you sit right beside that kayak and look at it, it's kind of mind blowing.
It really is. Dieter Melhorn has joined the chat. Good evening, Dieter. Thanks for watching Catfish Weekly. We appreciate your support on us winning the award, and congratulations to the awards that you won the other night. We talked earlier about this, but Kevin done a bang-up job on that award show. I'm looking forward to that being a happening action for years to come. I hope everybody agrees with that. I can't imagine anybody not agreeing with it. It was just very well put together.
And Kevin is saying start tagging your videos so you can get nominated for next year's awards, Jesse.
Absolutely, I agree. And if somebody would be so kind to put Jesse's YouTube channel and Facebook information up in the chat so people can go subscribe to him, that would just be awesome.
Yeah,
Wes, I know you're watching. He's actually the one logged in on Team Catnippers right now. I'm pretty sure he's watching. If he gets a chance, I'm sure he'll share the link too. And I'll have a couple other people going on there. King's Catfishing. I actually fished with Timothy King. He puts up some great videos of setups, and he drift fish. He does pretty much about the same thing I do as far as open water fishing. We run planer boards. And people might look at you like you're crazy for running planer boards in a kayak, but all you got to do is get to the right speed. That float you sent, I got an idea for river fishing with that. I'm gonna get a video for you for that. I got it in the mail yesterday, so I'm pretty excited to put that to work.
There you go.
Yeah, we run planer boards, and I run drifting sticks and stuff like that. And I drag, I drift. My biggest success this year has been off of free lining, which is actually no weight at all.
I love free lining.
Free lining is my free lining is I need a bunch of fish quickly, and I got to cover as much water as I can. So free lining is definitely what has been a go-to. Perch have been just killing it this year. My biggest fish this year has come off of perch head and free lining. It's just they preferred it over the gizzards I kept getting. I kept getting a bunch of good sized gizzards, but that perch was just on fire this year.
To me, it's always been the most natural presentation that a fisherman can use is that free lining. It's just hands down, especially in shallow water. But now, Jeff Coat, that's his name. He basically does like a free lining, but he pulls them behind the planer boards without no weight. And he's catching them 40s and 50s coming up and grabbing that bait on the surface.
When I fished in Tennessee in June, the guy, Van Hughes, the guy that took first place, that's what he was doing. He ended up catching his biggest fish was a flathead, and believe it or not, it come up on that free line run on the planer board out there. It was just, we were struggling the first couple of days of pre-fishing trying to find a bite, and I ended up suspending, over some structure and stuff up against the dam, and I was fortunate enough to find some fish, just not enough to really get me up there and in the inches, but the free lining up on the main lake, that was really what found him the fish. And I mean, it was unbelievable to think that big flathead, he said he's seen it when he come over on the side scan and it just come up and just nailed that free line bait. And like you said, it gives it a natural presence in the water. It drops slowly through the water columns, especially the way we do it on the, drifting the river systems. You throw it out, you kind of let the boat float with the bait. The bait will pick up a little bit faster than the boat, but it covers so much water column that, it's not always about the biggest fish in that water column. It's about how many fish you can catch in some of these tournaments, and that's how you win. You'll get your fish, then you start calling them out once you get your total inches. But, to find fish quickly, that's definitely a very good method.
Now, guys and gals, there was a lot of great information that was just given to you. A lot of people say, well, I've heard of free lining, I've never tried it, or I've heard of this, I've heard of that. Guys, it can be very productive, and sometimes there's certain times of the year, like where Lyle and them's going up to do that channel cat fishing, and the lake is shallow. Oh, I'd be free lining the crap out of it, but there's a catch with that free lining. You better be a line watcher.
Yeah, you got to be.
Yeah,
he'd either come to you and you will never see it.
Oh, so, I don't even know how many times I've missed hookups because of that. You throw out, and the next thing you know, your bait's going clear. You're watching your main line, but you're underneath the water has already gone past you.
Yeah.
My biggest fish this year, that 79, it was caught on free lining. 10-aught, Dale's 10-aught circle hook, piece of 60, probably about a foot and a half, maybe a little bit less of 60-pound fluoroliter, and then a swivel. That's it. I run 30-pound main line. I know a lot of guys are probably like, oh, he only runs 30-pound line. I only run 30-pound line. I fight the drag, especially being in a kayak. I use the drag in a kayak to my advantage. I've broke a few fish off that I've been sick to my stomach too, but we won't talk about them on here. Y'all don't need to know about them fish. Don't worry about them guys. I'll get them later.
Lyle has said that so many times on this show. Let the rod and the drag of your reel do the work. That is what they are designed for.
That is 100% correct. I have a question here from Outside with the Haze. Said, ask Jesse what type of bait he would suggest to use when the cats are not biting, please.
Oh, I mean, when you get into that kind of situation, find what's natural. If you're bringing bait, you might be bringing gizzard shad or herrings or something from outside. Switch to what swims in the lake. That's usually how we try to target some of the lakes. Is if there's a native species in there that they're feeding on, like brim or perch, we try to follow that bait. And sometimes that bite might take a little bit longer than what you want. And unfortunately, that's kind of how catfishing goes. It's not skipping docks until you hit a fish in the face. Sometimes it takes a little bit of patience to get that one fish that you've been waiting for, especially in the wintertime. It can be an hour to 2 hour sit before you might even get a bite, and you start regretting sitting in one spot. But definitely try to find something that you think they're feeding on. If they're feeding on small thread fins and you're seeing a bunch of them in the body of water that you're fishing, don't be afraid to put them on an 8 or 6-aught hook and chuck them out there. As I have seen 60, 70-pound fish caught on 6 and 8-aught hooks on small bait. I seen it at a dam I was fishing not too long ago. The guy was literally scoop netting the little tiny thread fins right up that were feeding along the wall, and he was putting them on a hook with a drop shot weight and throwing them right out there, and he was just nailing cats left and right.
This
And,
time of year, I love tread fin. I don't know why. I mean, I fish with the gizzards, but when they're loading up on them tread fins, because this time of year, the tread fins are balled up in huge numbers. To me, you take it, say, an 80-pound cat. He can swim through, he can come off the bottom into a daggum mess of them tread fin. He can fill his gullet pretty quick.
Yeah, and this time of year, especially, they're opportunist feeders. They're gonna, especially the bigger fish, they're gonna do whatever they can to burn the least amount of calories and metabolism as they can. They're gonna feed. Who put the anti-chicken up there? I see that.
That was me. I get messages in Facebook from guys.
Was everybody waiting for me to say chicken?
No, I was not. I promise you I wasn't.
No, I have yet to use chicken. Well, the only other thing I have ever really caught and had success on was wild turkey. I had some wild turkey that spoiled in the freezer one year, and I cut it up about inch by inch chunks and took it out there, and I wore channel cats plumb out on that stuff, boy.
I done that for Dieter's benefit because I love old Dieter, and him and I cheese each other about all kinds of stuff all the time. We have a blast with that. But him and I is going to go at it in spring when I get to feel a little bit better. We're gonna get out there on the water, and he's going to chickenize it, and I'm going to use shad, skipjack.
I'm a germaphobe, man. I'll be washing my hands every 5 seconds after I touch a chicken breast.
I've often thought about that. I really have. And with everything that's going on, the last thing you need is salmonella or something. But surely these guys that are using chicken for bait keep some kind of soap or something to wash their hands and get that off of there.
They wear rubber gloves, guys. I mean, each their own, but at least put some gloves on or something, man.
Yeah, you don't want to be doing that and then smoking or eating something and get that down in your system. It's hard enough to keep from getting a Rona without having something like that.
Look, man, we were fishing a 24-hour challenge, and I had a guy. We had some shad turn, and a guy went to pinch a dip of snuff, and had that old rotten shad on his hands. Boy, that boy got sick. He got sick out there. And it was after that I'm like, I started buying like little. I found some soap at Walmart. It takes the fish smell off your hands or whatever. It smells like mint. But I started carrying that in the kayak. I'm like, I'm washing my hands after every time I touch bait. Last thing I need to be is out here on the kayak throwing up and not able to get somewhere to get help or get off the water. I find myself a good pit. I can't pedal or paddle myself up river when I'm sick.
Go ahead, Jay.
Next year, they're going to be wondering about all that green slime is floating all over the water. That's going to be all them catfish down there sick and throwing up from salmonella.
That could very well be. Folks, if you haven't noticed it, check out in the brand image at the top right-hand corner of the page is a new CPR Catfish Weekly decal that we have got designed for us, and we're going to be giving some of those away, and we will be selling some of them. They will be in our hot little hands here before too awful long, and when they hit, I'll let everybody know. I don't even know how much they're going to cost me yet, so I don't know how much they will cost, but we will be giving some of those away on the show. I hope you all like them. We had a real talented young lady make those, design them for us. I had the decal made for another deal, and she changed it to Catfish Weekly and done some different things to it. But that's what they're going to look like. I hope everybody likes them.
Dieter, that what I said, I had an old guy at work with me. He couldn't say salmonella. He would call it Sally Manelli, like that old lip sync group that used to be out. He called him Sally Manelli. And I laughed at that poor old boy. So now every time I say something about it, I can't help but say Sally Manelli instead of salmonella. Oh Lord!
I'm gonna go ahead. Hey, somebody forward that to me so I can keep that saved in my data bank, please. That way I know what to say if I see him stick out on the boat somewhere. I know he got that Sammy Manelli.
Sonny says he used Ivory soap in his boat. He thinks it's the best. I keep lava in mine. And I think part of that is the reason that when I was a kid, I had my mouth washed out with soap on a regular basis, sometimes as much as 2 or 3 times a day. And my oldest sister would grab whatever she could. And the worst thing that she ever stuck in my mouth was lava soap. So I keep it on the boat at all times. I don't know how much it'll do for washing your hands. It seems to do a good job for me, but it'll sure clean that mouth up, boy. I mean, right now.
Still didn't learn nothing, though, did you?
No, I didn't. But that's what you get for hanging around with Dockery and Chad Fields and guys like that all the time.
All right. Jesse, do you ever rely a lot on Navionics?
No, I don't. If I'm going to a new body of water that I ain't ever been to before, I have the app on my phone that I can kind of pull it up and kind of get an idea of what the drops, and it kind of shows the charts and stuff. But as far as on my kayak, I'm running a Garmin Echo 501. It's basically just going to show you that there might be a rock on the bottom and that might be a fish. You don't know. A lot of the time I base it off of the structure around where I'm fishing. If I can pull up to a body of water and I can see right off the bat that the bottom looks super sandy or super muddy, that's basically the best way to base what that area is going to look like. I use the fish finder just essentially to find the depths that I want to fish. It shows enough of structure to know that there's structure there. I can usually base off of the surroundings that it's either going to be rocks or it's going to be a tree. It'll roughly show you. And if you don't fish with electronics, don't feel ashamed to just go out there and hammer it. Pay attention to your surroundings. That's a big thing. I think a lot of guys have really started going to that electronics, and we call it, in the kayak world, we call it video game fishing. I don't know if y'all do that there, but especially in bass tournaments, you can see the fish, so you're going to sit there, and that fish might not be the fish that's going to bite. So you can waste a lot of time worrying about your electronics and finding that one fish, but the fish that you might be actually hunting might just be 2 steps to the left. You're just focusing too much on that GPS and that avionics and stuff.
That's kind of why I had that. That's why I kind of had that one show. What would happen when you pulled out of the dock and your electronics go down? What are you going to do next? So that's why I'm glad you said what you said, is that pay attention.
I used to ice fish a lot, and I don't remember ever having a depth reader ice fishing. We used to take a drop shot weight and drop it to the bottom, find the bottom, and then we'd pull the line up, and we'd stretch it out, and we knew how deep we was. I essentially kind of do the same thing when I'm feeling out a new body of water. I'll drop a couple, suspended 8-ounce weights down, see how deep of water I am. Mr. Fails on here for Team Catnippers. He'll tell you right now, I can go to a body of water and dang near guess exactly how deep it is sitting right next to him with no fish finder while he's running his. I've done it to him on Wiley a few times and made him be like, dude, you are the fish finder. But, it's, fish finder is a sketchy word. It's not necessarily going to find the fish. It's you're basically just using it to find the platforms you want to fish. Don't focus on trying to look for fish on it. Look for structure. If you're catfishing, you need to find them rock piles. You need to find them humps. You need to find them ledges. Don't try to focus on the fish. Like I said, I use a app on my phone as my navionics. I don't even use the fish finder, and that's just for bodies of water that I don't know.
Right.
I travel a lot, so there's lakes I've never been to before. Around here, I can give you a pretty good estimate about every lake around here because I spent a lot of time on them. But when I go to new places, you might need that extra little bit, but don't spend too much time getting lost in electronics. Learn learn the basics, learn the fundamentals. That's where we come from, as catfish anglers. A lot of guys from the bank. I've seen guys pulling in monster fish from the bank. They have not a clue how deep that water is.
And they can if they would pay attention.
Yeah, and I mean that's the thing is if you look at the ledges, you look at your surrounding, you got a pretty good idea. You talk to a lot of old cats, they'll tell you, they learn how to fish because of their surroundings, not because of what's in the water.
Right.
They learn how to find them ledges and stuff based on what the bank looks like beside them.
Right. And see, that's what when I was talking to you earlier before we went live, we're talking about the South Point boat land and all that stuff. Well, I learned all that stuff bank fishing before I ever got electronics and a boat to figure it out. Simply because I used to be a bass fisherman, taking a rubber worm and a bullet weight and running it weedless, you can learn so much about guys and gals. Y'all can not bass fishermen, but you can take that technique right there and learn so much about a piece of water that you can learn to feel if you can find mussel beds by doing that.
Sure.
Especially if you run braid, like Lyle talks about, he runs braid. You take a rod, a good graphite rod, braided line, and you can tell exactly what's on the bottom of that water.
Yep.
There you can.
That's fact. We got a great question in chat from Dieter Melhorn. He said, what are Jesse's thoughts on winter kayak fishing? Is flipping over a concern, and how do you prepare for that?
I was trying to catch back up on the chat, guys. Sorry. It's always a concern. It's always in the back of your mind as a kayak angler. You're getting into a vessel that's a little bit different, than maybe what you're used to or something like that. But you're in a smaller vessel and on bigger bodies of water, and like I said, water's unforgiving. It's never going to change. And one thing in the back of your mind is you want to go home. At the end of the day, after you've caught a lot of fish, you want to go home. And the best thing for that is wearing that life jacket. It's my number one prep tool. Is the kayak. That life jacket goes with me every time I'm on the water. I always have it on. And when I don't have it on, I have it close by in case the worst happens. And in cold water situations, bring something in a dry bag, some extra change of clothes. Make sure that, you might not venture too far away from a bank that you can access easy in case you do happen to go over and you need to get to the bank. One thing about a kayak is they are hard to flip back over once they flip. And it's a scary situation when they do go over. A lot of the time your gear you might lose a lot of gear and stuff like that, but that's not a concern. The concern is getting yourself warm. And definitely bring they make dry bags, man. You can buy them at Walmart. You can buy them at Academy. You can buy them anywhere, and they usually start out about $3 to $20, depending on what you get. And carry some extra base layers with you, if nothing else, to where you can keep your phone dry. That's a big one. Keep your phone dry. I work with Robo.
Get you a Cali case. A Cali case, you can put it on a lanyard around your neck, zip it in. You can actually operate your phone through that Cali case.
And they make a lot of different things. I use a RoboHawk phone tether. My phone's pretty good in the water. If it does go in, I bring it back out fairly quickly.
Right.
And it'll be fine for a little while, enough to get the message somebody and be like, hey, this is what happened. Keep your location on. Believe it or not, you can pinpoint your phone, especially iPhones. You can pinpoint your phone on the water. If you go over and somebody can't find you, keep your location on. A lot of guys have been found because of that. I fish with RoboHawk phone. They make phone tether that keeps your phone strapped to you. You don't lose it if you do flip. Get yourself to the bank, get warm. That's key. Keep a dry bag with some extra clothes. Make sure that don't ever wear waders. Don't ever wear waders. I'm gonna repeat that because
they'll take you down.
They'll take you down quick.
Yeah.
I know a lot of guys are like, oh, I'll go out on the kayak, I'll wear waders, they'll keep me dry. I'm not going to tell you not to. The only thing, I recommend don't do it.
Yeah.
If you're going to wear them and you're going to take that chance, leave them unbuckled. Never buckle
Yeah,
them.
so you can get out of them. Exactly.
You can get out of them. And, like I said, a pair of bibs is a lot easier to swim in than 80 pounds of wader.
Yeah.
But, definitely going over it's something that's in the back of your mind. It's not something that happens a lot, but it definitely stays in the back of your mind, and you just gotta be aware of where you're at and what you're doing on the water. If you get out there and the water is just too much for you to handle, there is nobody on this page right now that's gonna tell you you're a wuss for turning around and going home.
That's right.
You got that right.
There ain't no fish out there worth your life, man. I mean,
we got a couple of things in chat. Sonny Parker wanted to let you know that all the frowny faces was for the benefit of James Dockery, not for you. He didn't want you to confuse the fun they was having with James with something you had said, because the frowny faces had nothing to do with you. That was all about James Dockery.
Look, when I was actually scrolling back trying to see what I missed, because I'm bouncing back and forth. I was like, oh man, what did I say that everybody got mad? Was it the chicken?
James Dockery is the angry fisherman.
I'm sorry. If you use chicken, I'm not shaming you. If you start putting me on the chicken, I will switch to chicken, all right?
James Dockery is the angry fisherman, and them guys ride him like a horse, and it's all in fun. But Dieter says, excellent kayak fishing advice. Good information for any boat fisherman. I agree 100%. But here's one that really caught my attention. The Weekend Angler, Josh says, for what it's worth, Google Maps allows you to share your exact location with people you choose. That's something I did not know, but that is awesome information.
That's a good one.
Yeah, I thought that was excellent information.
Creole catfishing. What advice would you give boaters to help us be more respectful to kayakers?
Great question.
That is a great question, because that's a question, there's a feud between kayakers and bass boats. I promise you that. But as far as any boater, be mindful, we're on a smaller vessel. We can take a lot of waves. We can take a good bit of different things. Some kayaks are not designed the same as others. So just be mindful. If you come up on a kayak, I run a flag on open water, which Yak Attack makes a flag with a light on it if you do night fishing, by the way. Yak Attack makes a flag with a light on it, and it's a big orange flag that sticks off the back of my kayak. You can see that joker for a couple miles when I'm out there on the lake. I recommend it. Boaters can see it. I fish a lot. A lot of our tournaments are on the weekends, and you know what that means. Weekends are active time for weekend warriors and bass tournaments and catfish tournaments and all that. Just if you come up on a kayak, just be mindful. If you can see it before you get to it, slow down. We can't take the wake like a $60,000 boat.
No.
I mean, we can take a pretty good wake, but it's not good. And you got to think that kayaker might have about as much investment as you do.
Yep.
Some of these kayaks, bottom dollar, start out. Like mine, retail is $2,600, and then you add probably another $3,000 or $4,000 that I have into just equipment and my phone and and other stuff and sonar systems. If it goes over, you're going to lose a lot of stuff, and insurances don't cover that like they do boats.
Well, here's the other thing. When you pull up on somebody in a canoe, a kayak, or anything like that, you have no idea the experience level of the guy that's in it.
Exactly.
Surely, under the circumstances where I fish on the big rivers we have on the Missouri River and the Mississippi and stuff, I see these guys out there all the time, and I wonder about that. But in my mind, I'm thinking, you know what? If they don't know what they're doing, if they don't have the experience to be on that Mississippi River, they shouldn't be on it. But you never know.
And that's a big thing is kayaking the last 3 to 4 years has become so popular as just a form of exercise, a formed to, enjoy the outdoors. I used to work for Dick's Sporting Goods, and I can remember in the summertime, we used to move probably 300 to 400 boats between May to almost August. And, probably more than that, honestly. I mean, I never really kept up a number, but a lot of people just got it just because they wanted to go float around their cove on Lake Wiley. I used to actually still friends with people that bought kayaks from me that they just like to go out and kind of paddle around their little cove on Lake Wiley. And one of their biggest issues is these guys with 200 horse motors come flying in. Like, look, I get you're in a hurry. Money's on the line. I get it. I've been there. I used to fish tournaments like that. But at the same time, you have to be mindful for the people in your surroundings, because a lot of times you see somebody in a little tiny, 10-foot, 8-foot paddle style kayak, their experience level might not be as good as a guy in a 12 to 14 foot pedal drive with a trolling motor. Them guys, I'm pretty trained on, and spend so much time on the water. I know how to handle myself if a wave comes. I know how to position my boat. There's a lot of people that don't know how to do that. And, you might put their life at risk, and it's not something you want on your conscience.
No,
for one. And for two, they're out there to do the same thing you're doing, and that's enjoy the outdoors. And that's that's the biggest part of kayaking. That's what we want everybody to do that kayaks is enjoy the outdoors.
You might have a fish on and not even paying attention to that boat coming up behind you or that wake coming up, and it catch you by surprise. You got to be prepared for everything. Or if you get ready to get in trouble, the question is, do you know what to do when that trouble hits?
Yeah, and then the biggest thing when that trouble hits is, for one, your mindset's going to take over, and you're going to panic. Don't panic. Make sure you have the proper PPE with you, the proper safety equipment, a whistle. Down here, you have to have a whistle on your vessel. You have to have a life jacket on your vessel. If you're not wearing the life jacket, make sure it's within arm's reach if you do flip over. And unfortunately, as much time as I spent on water, I have had to do water rescue. And one of the biggest things that the water rescue that I've had to do comes from not having that life jacket. The kayak got flipped. On one occasion, the lady got hit in the head. She took on water in her lungs. Fortunately enough for her, I just happened to be turning the corner when she come through. It was a ski boat that waked her. The kayak flipped completely over, caught her in the back of the head, and she went under. As soon as it happened, no life jacket.
Wow.
In the boat, no life jacket anywhere. If I wouldn't have happened to come around the corner when I did, it might have been a different day for her.
Instead of a rescue, it turns into a recovery.
That's right.
Yeah. And recoveries and rescues, either one are horrifying. Unfortunately, I've been on the receiving end of both of those, and it's not fun for anybody involved.
No,
it's really not, guys. I want you guys to get out there and kayak, fish. I want you to spend some time in kayaks. Don't worry about the price of your kayak. Don't worry about that. If you're fishing in a $200 to $800 kayak, focus a little bit more on flat water. Maybe don't focus on currents and stuff like that. And if you do, life jacket. Keep it on, man. I mean, I know the summertime gets hot. I tournament fish. Trust me, I have tan lines from my life jacket that I still have to this day.
It's okay.
It looks like I was wearing a tank top, but stay to what you know. If you get a kayak for the first time, go to flat water to test it. Don't go to the Catawba River because it's summertime and you want to go drinking with your buddies. Go to the lake, paddle around close to the boat ramp. If you do flip, then you can kick it over, and get back to the bank, drain it out. Most of them's got drain holes on the sit-in styles, and the sit on tops, if you get leaning on it just right, you can flip it right back over and kick it to the bank and get back in.
I've noticed another thing in chat that I think we should discuss, fellas. Buckeye Catfishing posted a short time ago that he had lost a family member, had passed away, and we want to keep our thoughts and prayers with him and his entire family. This is the holiday season. That's extremely tough time for that to happen. But he is one of our revered viewers that watch every week, and we will keep you and your family in thoughts and prayers. And we hate it that happened this time of the year, but it's part of life, and we all kind of have to deal with it. But we're very sorry to hear that, and we'll keep you in the thoughts and prayers.
Yes, sir.
For sure.
But any last things that you might want to go over just as far as safety and stuff? And get the numbers ready, Lyle, for one giveaway.
Okay.
As far as it all goes, if you follow me on Team Catnippers on Instagram or Facebook, or if you're personal friends with me on Facebook, feel free anytime you have a kayak question, or if I've been spent so much time around so many different kayaks, I can kind of lean you maybe towards something a little bit more your style, or more your price point, stuff like that. I can help you on any kind of basics that you might need as far as paddle setup, life jacket setup. I'm not going to steer you into buying everything I fish for or I use or I fish with, because we're not all the same. And if you're just starting out, you might not need everything I got. I fish a different style. I'm a tournament based kayak cat fisherman. So everything I typically run is based on my fishing style. But I'm 100% available to help you with any questions that you might have on setup or anything like that. There's a lot of videos on YouTube you can watch. Flint Hill being one of them guys. Flint Hill's, he'll walk you through it. He's a super nice guy, and
Funny.
He's got just as sexy as a kayak setup as I do. So
tell everybody again where they can find you on Facebook and YouTube.
And Dieter Melhorn wants to know where the Warden name come from.
Man, that's a story for a different day. Let's just put it that way. Let's just say I used to jump a lot of fences when I was a kid and fish ponds I wasn't supposed to. I'm at the DNR a lot. No, it was just a name that come up over the years, and it just it started as a joke, and then the more I sit and thought about it, and especially as I've grown over the last few years, it was definitely something that just made me stick out. The Warden is his kind of his own character. But, a lot of people get to know me. I'll talk to you all day long in person. This is actually the longest I've ever probably been on a live camera in front of people. I'm actually pretty awkward in real life.
Didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead and tell them where they can find you again on social media, buddy.
No, you can find me on social media platforms. Jesse O'Neill on Facebook, Team Catnippers on Facebook, Team Catnippers on YouTube and Instagram. I run all of them with help of a few other team members for Team Catnippers. And then for the tournament trail that I'm running this year, that's a Carolina based, or anybody can join it. I feel, if you guys want to, follow along, and you might not be in the state or whatever, Carolina Catfish or Carolina Kayak Catfish Slayers. I'm still trying to get used to saying this. But you can follow that along on Facebook. I have no other platforms for it yet. I just literally started this about 12 days ago. It used to be the SCTCKA. That's where a lot of you guys might know it from, but I've kind of branched off from that now and took over both Carolinas. So I'm running, 6 lakes between the both Carolinas. And let's just say, guys, these are hand-picked lakes, and for everybody in South Carolina, no, I will not be fishing watery. Anybody that knows me around here, I can't stay in that lake. So I'll be taking pictures with Big Nasty while y'all are fishing.
All right. James, I have y'all loaded up when you're ready to go.
All right. We're going to give away a set of blue bobbers tonight. And just you can pick them out. And guys and gals, if you already have a set of bobbers, if you don't mind, this is the season for giving. Let it ride, and let's try to get them to somebody that don't have a set so they can enjoy them also. but I can't guarantee you're going to get them before Christmas the way the mail is right now.
Isn't that
I've
terrible?
got 3 sets that's been in Greensboro for a week and a half, just sitting
Yeah.
there.
It's awful. And I've got stuff that I ordered the first week of the month I still don't have, but it is what it is. Jesse, would you pick me out a number between 1 and 5?
1 and 5. Let's go 2.
1 and 2. And the winner is Mike's Outdoor Adventures.
Don't think Mike has a set. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, Mike. Just send me your name and your address and stuff on Messenger, or you can contact me at 704-600-8369, and we'll get these right out to you, my friend. Thank you for supporting Catfish Weekly and joining us on the show tonight.
James, thank you so much for donating those bobbers. I know they're going to love them. They're an awesome product, and if you guys haven't checked them out, go over to his Facebook page and check out that stuff. They are really an outstanding product, and stay tuned for some new stuff.
Oh yeah, man. If y'all ain't tried them, my wife actually caught her PB out of the kayak this year on one of the floats during a team challenge. So
they're cool, and
they're great. We love throwing them. You know, I love throwing big floats in the summertime anyway for flatheads with live bait. So they were right up my alley when I found out about them.
Heck yeah.
2021, you better be ready.
That's a pretty neat way to do that. That really was. Oh man, thank you, Flint Hill. Again, this is the holiday season. We are the week of Christmas. We want to wish everybody Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Be very thankful that we have so many supporters of our channels and friends in the industry. James and I are thrilled. Be sure to watch James' show on Wednesday night. He's going to have a great show. Tomorrow night is Muskrat Adventures. James is on Wednesday. Thursday night, my buddy Chad Fields and James Dockery. They'll keep you in stitches all night. Let's see. Who's on Saturday night, James?
Friday night is
Friday night.
Mark with Catfish and Crappie.
Catfish and Crappie.
And then Saturday night usually is Headhunters. I done got horse.
Yep.
And then Sunday night will be Kevin.
Norman Stan, and then Kevin with Palmetto Cats. And again, what a great job he done on that award show. Jesse, thank you so much for joining us on Catfish Weekly. I know there's a lot of things you can do on Monday night, but to spend it with us means so much to us, and we was thrilled to have you on here. You covered a lot of great information, and at some point we need to get you back on here and do it again.
Yeah. Like I said, I'm blessed to be here. I really am. I'm definitely willing to come back, man. I could go on for hours with this, honestly. And it's just a passion of mine that I want a lot of people to enjoy the same that I do,
Absolutely.
Yeah. Post up some of your videos and stuff, and go on the Catfish website and give us some information where people that didn't get to see the show can actually find you and, maybe ask you some questions online.
Like I said, I'm 100% open for questions. My Facebook teams constantly. So, I'm usually extremely quick on answering back. Even on Instagram, you can ask people that follow. They might not know the warden's the one behind the name, but usually it's always me. And like I said, I stay on top of it. I'm 100% for helping anybody that wants to get into the sport, especially with the trail season going this year. Anybody that might be interested in competing in some kayak fishing, I'll be here to answer whatever you got. I'm going to release the official rules and stuff for the trail in January. I'm going to release a schedule here within the next few days. And like I said, when you guys see the lakes, everybody's mouth's going to drop. A handful of guys have got to see it. But, like I said, I'm blessed to be here. I definitely look forward to coming back. Thank you guys.
Oh, you're very welcome. Don't forget, Jesse, we have the public group of Catfish Weekly, and you are very welcome to post any and all of your videos and any information about your tournament stuff there. We'd be happy to have you as being a part of the group.
All right, thank you very much.
If you got a tournament coming up that you might want to get some more people to come join your tournament, just give us a holler. After the end of the show, we don't mind, throwing a schedule up and just make sure that you follow up so the next week we can give the results of that tournament,
Yeah, for sure. Like I said, my first kickoff is March 27th. I know that's the Catfish Bash 2, but I don't think it's going to affect too much to the kayak guys in the Carolinas. And once that gets, I'll definitely stay with you guys on top of the trails. So that way, if you guys want to follow up with how the trails went that weekend,
yeah, absolutely.
I'll give James the pre-schedule before I officially release it. And that way you can give it to Lyle and you guys can kind of save it in your calendar for the day. So like I said, I'm not starting anything till March just because of everything going on in North Carolina right now. Being somebody that works in North Carolina, it's a madhouse.
Yeah, I understand. One more thing for everybody. Christmas is what, Friday?
Yep.
Friday?
Yeah.
Monday on Catfish Weekly, we had a request, and I think I mentioned this last week, for how to get started on YouTube. Jeff Manning, Jonathan Busick, Dieter Melhorn, Stu with Coon Creek Outdoors, and I'm trying to get a couple more people involved with this that has big YouTube channels besides James and I. Oh, Becca, thank you so much. We appreciate it. And these guys are going to come in here, so have your questions prepared for if you want to know what it takes to make these guys successful, because they're going to answer any and all questions. And this should be a bang-up show for anybody that wants to try a YouTube channel or get started in making videos or live feeds or whatever. So be sure to tune in next Monday.
Hey, Lyle, Wednesday night, we got an old friend's going to be on my show, Mr. Justin Fishing Fetish, and Miss Gabby Goose will be joining us.
You know what? That is going to be a great show, and I can't wait to see that. That'll be great.
I'll definitely have that one saved.
Heck yeah.
So,
Jesse, thanks again. Hang on just a second. Thanks, everybody, for watching Catfish Weekly. We'll see you next Monday night right here.